So disclaimer, you're going to hear little tiny cheese in the background, little tiny birds.
Little tiny cheese, little cheeps.
Cheep. I got this.
And then our cat's attacking a lemon head.
Uh-oh.
Nice, good job.
Best candy ever. Here. 5-day rule. Ooh, no, not that. Okay, never mind. It's been like 1 day.
Okay, so what happened today when I was at work?
The lady that was supposed to buy the goat, who said she wanted a weathered goat.
For those who don't know, a weathered goat is...
He doesn't have his balls anymore. You put a little lifesaver rubber band over them and they fall off. And that's pretty much, I'd say, the most pain-free way to do it for them and the easiest way to do it, especially if you didn't grow up hacking animals like farmers do and stuff, and you're just trying to have a little homestead.
Anyway.
But it makes them more calm and happy and nice, and they're like little dogs instead of little horny goats who pee in their face and flail their lips at the ladies. And anyway, so she said she wanted some weathered goats to do poison ivy control on her property, because I guess her and her husband are allergic or something. And I texted her politely, and then I got a call, and then she rambled on for like a whole minute straight before I could even say anything. She had a whole elevator speech about herself, and it was weird, but I just kind of let it go, and then it just kind of spiraled into madness.
What was her speech? What was her elevator speech that you were talking about?
Where do I begin? She... it was just... It was like, I am so-and-so, I did interior design for X amount of years, and this and this and this. And then I think the first words out of my mouth were, oh, should I paint the pine white then? I was just joking, because I thought maybe she had some actual interior design like skill or something, and I was kind of excited. I was like, okay, this lady sounds kind of legit. She was kind of toting herself up as like this like interesting kind of eccentric person. I didn't realize it was just schizophrenia. Oh man. So, what else? Where did the conversation go after that? Oh, she said that... Well, she wanted to know about me. And then it, she was saying how she helped people with PTSD. She helps veterans and stuff. And I guess she just kind of assumed I had it correctly. But she kind of led me into like a little trappy trap. So I was just trying to be cordial, and if you have PTSD, the thought of not having PTSD is pretty appealing. So she was telling me that she does certain therapies, and but it kind of just turned into like, I do therapy that has to do with what is that called?
Frequency?
Yeah, micro frequencies, I think is what she said. Micro frequencies or something. And she went on and on and on. And she said how she's helping this Navy girl, and she's saying really dark things to me.
And this is your first time ever talking to her. This is your first conversation over the phone ever.
Over the phone ever.
I met her while I was working. I thought she was a decent person. Apparently I was completely wrong, because I only talked to her for a little bit, but she didn't mention any of the stuff that she told you. So, sorry about that.
You told me that she was pretty religious, but I didn't know... I didn't know exactly what that meant, but even you kind of got a little odd vibe, like maybe overtly religious is what I should say.
Well, this is more than overtly, but yeah, I think.
Yeah, but like you weren't sure what to make of it, because you told me she was very religious.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, well, that can be a good or apparently in this situation bad, where the Lord is speaking to her, and she said that her husband was getting downloads. And he's disabled, and she says, I married a disabled man, and it was what, and then there was moments where the call would go in and out, so I had to wait like a second while she rambled to kind of catch back up with the conversation. But she said that her current husband, which I think is husband number 3, first one died, second one was this one is disabled, whose wife left him because he couldn't provide, he couldn't have sex with her anymore. I don't know. She was just TMIing the whole time, and she said that, but he's worth his weight in gold, and she would say these like really flowery things, and she would go from sounding very angry and bitter to very like, but I help people, and I've never spoke to anyone who was quite like this woman. And there was moments when she was getting mad that she kind of reminded me of my mother. And that was like, it was kind of terrifying. I was like, this is weird. Because she would get like super serious. And then like her voice would change. It was like, you all believe in demons and shit? Like you got that like demonic shit going on where like you're flip-flopping schizophrenia, bipolar, whatever. Like, It was kind of terrifying. Like, I didn't even know what to, like, make about the conversation. But then the red flags just kept coming and coming and coming. And then I realized about halfway into this probably a little, maybe like 25% into the conversation that...
And you said this conversation went on for 2 hours?
Yeah, I'd say roughly 2 hours. And I should have hung up. I should have said, okay, I've had enough of you. No. This deal is off. I'm not selling you goats.
You told me when you messaged her, so this happened right after that?
I texted her, and then like a couple minutes later, she just called me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So this whole time you're just listening to this freak ramble on and on while I'm like at work.
Yeah, and I'm hearing about her son is an orthodontist in the local area, and then she doesn't talk to, and then this son doesn't listen to me, but I was supposed to get an inheritance, and then I didn't because my sister's a bitch, and like, I mean, it was like and then she was telling me something happened, she got sick, and she said it was a spiritual illness, but I think it was like COVID and norovirus at the same time or something. She said she was sick for like, I don't know, but and it was like, it would change. It was like, I thought she was sick for 3 years. I thought she was like, I didn't really know. I didn't know like what did she mean by the sickness, and then it kind of sounded like she said she was sick for 6 years. I mean, it just kept changing. I don't know what the hell, and she said like, you know, God made her better, and this and this and this. Everything that happened that was good was God, but also like, God teaches us lessons, so anything bad was also God. But then, like, God puts us through trials, so he's, like, testing me, because my life was, like, hard. But, like, I don't know. It was wild. It was very hypocritical at points. And then she started talking about these girls that she's helping with her PTSD. It's this micro frequency therapy nonsense bullshit that you can actually do remotely too. It's like the Spooky 2 machine. And I asked her, I said, do you know the Spooky 2? And she's like, oh yeah, that's like a little subset of like what I do. It's like its own little offshoot. It's its own little thing. But yeah, it's kind of like what I do. And I'm like, oh, here we go. Here this Spooky 2 bullshit. Just a way to make money. She's like, basically she was telling me the same things that our neighbor was telling me. She could just put in, well, if you have a stress headache, you can do this. And she was talking about...
We're surrounded by freaks.
Yeah, we are. I wish I would have recorded. I should have just been like, hang on a second. I just got it. And then I should have just found a way to record this because it was just like, it was insane.
And the whiteboard looks crazy. Like, the amount of stuff you wrote down...
The prions are causing our brains to leak. The prions from the sky are causing our brains to leak.
The prions.
But she can fix it. She can fix it with her micro...
frequency.
Why can I not remember the micro frequency machine or whatever she does? She said she was trained in Oregon, and and she helps like athletes and veterans with PTSD, and I'm like, okay, or maybe I'm mixing up the athletes with the remote viewing like random thing I was listening. But anyway, she says she helps all these people, and she said there's like I would be the fourth girl that she's helping, and she's telling me about a Navy vet. She's also telling me about a black girl who was dealing with during Katrina down in Louisiana. And then she's telling me about some other gal who's like with a felon or something. She's telling me the personal lives and the traumas of these girls that she should not be telling me. Just being a little baby? Just calling for mama? Where's she? Oh, she's right there. Oh, they're okay. They're playing.
I'm not gonna edit that out. Just sit down and continue.
So, I'm just gonna tell you, because you haven't heard this yet. Now, if you want to edit this out, that's fine. She's telling me about ladies whose, like, son killed themselves. A father pointed a gun at the... She told me that one of these girls that she helps with PTSD and stuff was raped by her father over and over again. And then she got hurt. She was in like a car accident or something. She was in a cast, and he tried to rape her in a cast. Put a gun to her horse's head and tried to rape her forcibly, saying, "I'll blow your horse's brains out unless you let me do what I want with you." She was telling me the most dark, sinister, and I should have hung up. I should. But like the way she was talking to me, I felt like I was under a spell. And it was just wild. It was absolutely wild. She told me she was this like fiery German, Scottish, Polish, and she said the J word, the J word. And I was like, oh, okay, good to know. Yeah, and then she said that we could do PTSD. Well, let me just get to. So she said we can do PTSD treatments, but this was like before a lot of the red flags. Let me just backtrack up here. She was like, well, what if like I do PTSD treatments on you? It should be like $150 a session, like more like $400 a session. But like I would do that for free for you. But like let's just like barter with the goats. Like what if you just give me the goats and then I give you PTSD treatments? And I'm just like, oh yeah, sure. And then she's like telling me that she's also gonna like pray over me, which would like accelerate my PTSD healing. But if I don't get prayed over, that's okay too. But then later on in the conversation, it was like, well, if you're not a believer, maybe this friendship will not work, and all this other shit.
Nice.
I mean, she was something else. Like it was borderline like terrifying. Like. Yeah, she said that the Spooky 2 was an offshoot of what she does. It's an offshoot. Okay. But yeah, prions causing our brains to leak. Dropping pions on U.S. citizens. But she knows how to fix it with her micro... frequencies. Like, I'll never put those two together. It's so weird. And then we started talking about current events, which... Yep. Then we got onto the tribulation. Then we got onto like she says the Bible books have been locked until now. Now we can read books like Daniel from the Bible and Revelations, and they're unlocked now. They're unlocked.
What does that mean?
It means now that they're unlocked, we can understand them, whereas before it was all guesswork. She says now you can basically correlate what's really going on. Like you can look, like if it says this, you can see it going on exactly in the world or whatever. Nonsense. But yeah, so I was like, well, and she kept trying to get off the phone. She's like, well, I really gotta go. And then she would keep us on the phone. She did it like, I'm not even kidding, like somewhere between 5 and 8 times. She was like, I really gotta go. I like haven't eaten yet today. Or like, I really gotta take care of my chickens. Then she went and started doing her yard chores with me on the phone. I was like, I know, I'm so stupid. I should have just like got off the phone with her. But then it just kind of became well, let me humor this lady. What the hell else do you have to say? So I said, well, what do you think is going to happen? And she said there's visions from prophetic visions, and that the East Coast is going to be wiped out by a tsunami. And then there was this guy who wrote a book called Visions and Dreams of God. And I said, oh yeah, I've been hearing like from some remote viewer guy that he said he could see into the future, and that there's only going to be 25% of Americans left, that 75% of Americans are going to be dead. And she goes, no, a third of the world will die. And it's just like, we're in the 7 years, and there's going to be 7 cities bombed. It was like New York, LA, Las Vegas, Atlanta, Houston, Orlando, and like, what is that, 6? There was like one more that I don't know, some other major city. And she said the Madrid fault and like Lake Superior is going to be emptied and back flooded by the ocean. And
I haven't heard that before. Holy crap.
Yeah, we're on the New Madrid fault. But I also heard that New Madrid fault from the remote viewer guy. So I'm like, they're feeding this. I have a kind of a mini theory. I don't know if I'm right or wrong. I'm just saying. Now that I heard this from the remote viewer on some random podcast, I'm thinking this info is being like sprinkled in to make these stupid boomers think that they know what's gonna happen. And they're very, like, once they take this thing, they just run with it, you know? They don't know, but they're gonna pretend that they do. Like, they're like, yeah, this is what's going to happen, and you need to get right with God now. And I'm like, and like, I guess she had mentioned, like, I wasn't really talking to my mom or whatever, and she's like, yeah, so like I heard, like, you know, you're not really like, and I'm like, yeah, I don't talk to my folks anymore. And she's like, well, where's your mom? And I was like, in Florida. And she's like, well, that's gonna sink out, that's gonna be covered in water or whatever. She's talking about California falling into the ocean.
Yeah, that whole thing.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, like, I don't know. And she's basically saying, well, like, you should get your mom up to your property, and you need to basically make it right with her, or you're not gonna be able to forgive yourself. Like, it doesn't matter. Forgiveness doesn't matter at this. We're past forgiveness. It doesn't matter. But I didn't say that to her. But that was just an inner monologue that I was having with myself. When she's talking to me, I was like, I don't give a shit anymore. See, it's why I don't talk to her. Anyway, she said we were going to be in a nuclear winter because basically once those cities are bombed, that's gonna turn into the nuclear winter. Mm-hmm. And she's talking about like stocking up on expensive organic feed and all this, and we can she's gonna get pallets, and we could buy it from her, or like it would be cheaper than you getting it. And then she was asking if you were into carpentry, if you knew carpentry, and I said we're not really builders. We have a coop made out of like pallet wood. She's like, yeah, but he can like move stuff around and stuff, right? It's nothing major. She was trying to get me to recruit you to do shit for her. Mm-hmm. And then she just kept telling me that this disabled man, third husband, husband number 3, has got all this junk in the yard or something, but she was an interior designer and she had a nice place before she had to sell her horses. She said she had a horse that she bought for $6,500 that was a pregnant mare, and it was like some special horse. I don't know, she said the breed or whatever. And she said she sold it for $1,000 because she had to, because when she was sick, she was going through a hard time or something. And her son has all this money but wouldn't help her. And she was like, I'm not gonna ask for help, but if basically you shouldn't ask for help, but if someone wants to help you on their own, that's okay. And I kind of like understood where she was going with that, but it was like, but she was like saying awful things about like her. I can't even tell you everything that like. That she was talking about, and then I found out she had her son's wife has a restraining order on her.
Really?
Like a 4-year restraining order or some kind of stuff, and she's like, I didn't call her a witch. I said that if someone touches you that does she said like witch. She was saying like if somebody touches you that does witchcraft, like that essence can go to you, or like I don't know. It was kooky. It was just kooky. It was straight up kooky. And apparently, her family knows she's nuts because she's got a restraining order on herself. And I was like, okay, we do not need to be associating with people who have restraining orders on them. I was like, okay, I'm not crazy. This lady's got some issues. And all these things are coming at me at once. I'm trying to condense a 2-hour conversation down into like, So anyway, I don't know. I was basically her therapist. She robbed me of 2 hours of my day, and I should have just hung up. But it's not fair that she's telling me about personal stuff. And then she said, well, this is a HIPAA violation, but this is how we heal and stuff. And I'm like, no, you're telling me very traumatic things that have happened to people that is supposed to be confidential between you and that person. You're not supposed to tell me about it. And then you think I'm going to tell you about my PTSD? You think I'm going to trust you? But now I know you could just blabber my things. I don't want you to blabber what's happened to me to some random stranger that you just met on the phone. What the hell is wrong with you? And she knew she was violating a HIPAA. She literally tattled on herself to me, and I already knew. I was like, she should not be telling me this stuff. She told me she's a massage therapist. Well, that's confidentiality. She is violating HIPAA. Absolutely, 100%. So she's a monster. And I like how, but people like me, non-believers, are the problem, right? I'm the problem because I don't believe in God. And she basically, and then I told her, I was like, yeah, I know about the prophecy. And she was talking about the eclipse, and I was like, yeah, and they're also doing the red heifer sacrifice. And she's like, oh, you know about that? I was like, yeah, I study the prophecies. And she thought that meant I was religious.
Mm-hmm.
Nah, and I was like,
no,
you stupid bitch. It's because it's self-fulfilling prophecies, and I know what the J people are doing. I was just like getting livid, like, and I like at the end of the conversation, I was like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm so happy to hang up the phone, block, and delete her number. But yeah, it's not your fault. You didn't know.
We were just trying to sell some goats potentially, and this happened.
Yeah, and she kept telling me how like her setup and how it's so nice, but then she was also saying like she's got to like fix stuff and build stuff, and then she was saying how. And she said that she's got this like it wasn't it was like it's like a day room, but I can't remember what she called it, like a sunroom type situation. And she said she has like $20,000 worth of marble flooring in this room, and she was saying us four PTSD girls could get together and have like a PTSD girl day and like have drink coffee and tea or whatever. And I'm like, what? And then at the end, I was like, yeah, it sounds fun. This is bizarre. It was the most bizarre conversation I think I've ever had in my life. It was so telling. And I have a little bit of a theory. And my theory is these boomers fuck up with their kids. She literally, like, hates her children. She hates them now. She, like, loves her grandchildren, but they're being kept from her. I wonder why. I wonder why your grandchildren are being kept from you. Because they don't like that I'm... She said because they don't like that I'm real. And I'm aggressive. I was like, you're aggressive. You know you're aggressive. You know you're, like, saying things that are, like that they're not... they're self-aware, but they don't act on the little tiny ounce of self-awareness that they have. It's like my mother. She's like, oh, you'll get over it. I'm like, no. Sometimes you say things that are hurtful and harmful, and words do matter. Sticks and stones can break my bones, but words will never... No, that's bullshit. That's more of this propaganda bullshit that they taught us to keep us, to keep us thinking, oh, it's fine. We'll just get over it. It's no big deal. You just said words. It's not like you threw a stick at me. No, words hurt. Words mean things. Words start wars. These boomers are like f***ed up in the head. But my point is, let me backtrack. The point is, I think that they f*** up with their kids so hard that now they're paying the price for it in their later years, and they actually become like borderline schizophrenic because their family hates them. They have to deal with all the mistakes they've made in failed marriages and all those problems, and then no one's there for them in their twilight years, and the world is going to hell, and they don't know how to explain it, so they start getting right with God and getting right with Jesus, walking the mile. That's a good movie. You still need to see The Green Mile. This is garbage Stephen King, but I like the movie. I don't know. Grew up on too many movies. But yeah, and then barbecue, me and you, stanky, punky, pew pew. Mae West. I won't say that part. But anyway, yeah, I'm quoting movies because that was my life. It was movies. Even worked at a movie theater before I joined the good old military for U.S. of A. So I don't know. my name in blood. And now you just try to like not watch things, not watch Netflix, not have Amazon, not watch degenerate movies, not let it eke into your world.
The amount of old people that we've met whose kids just hate them or they hate their kids, it's sad. It's actually pretty darn sad. And here's another one. Here's another example. Yeah.
And she said that about her daughter. She said her daughter is a lawyer, and I just thought about our neighbors, our Mormon neighbors saying, my leftist lawyer's son. She said the same thing about her daughter. She said her daughter went into the law, and now she's a leftist because of it. Said the same thing. And then you think about the other. Okay, so out of our neighbors, this lady I talked to, the older lady we used to talk to, and then our friend who gave us the dog, those people all had like 3 to 5 children, and they don't love their kids anymore. They hate them now because they don't think the same way they do. And the thing about this lady today. She said she's a prepper. She's like, you guys are preppers, right? You guys are like Christian and this and this and this. And I was like, you're just putting words in my mouth, lady. But yeah, and I said we try. I said we try to prep. You know, she said if you get a discount, we should get one of those freeze dry machines. And I'm thinking, lady, those things are as much as a car. And I said we are getting by month to month right now. I was like, we don't really have the money to afford that. She has one, and you know, she freeze dries everything, and she's got a whole cow in her basement and this, and I'm like, okay, you know, good for you, but I don't have a car's worth of money to buy a little machine that our ancestors didn't have. I want to do things the old way, thank you very much, and I don't want to spend $3,000 on a stupid little machine. Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, it's useful. And the thing is, you know what? If this world is going to end in a fiery mayhem, you think your one pallet of extra organic feed is gonna... What are you gonna do? You're gonna survive for an extra month? You know? And I said, you're never really prepared. It's all good and dandy. You want to be prepper, fine, but don't lose your mind over it. You know, reel it back, lady. It blew my mind. It was just difficult conversation, to be honest. I'm sorry if you're gonna have to deal with this lady. She's gonna be like, why didn't your wife respond to me? Oh. Yeah, after saying something was wrong with you.
Mm-hmm.
And then she thought that you didn't believe in God, and that I just needed to like show you the light, when this stupid idiot didn't realize that I'm the one who's pretty much like anti-religion. Not to be an asshole, but just because it's not my thing. But I don't run around telling everybody they shouldn't believe in God. But she told me about 10 times that I need to, you know... She didn't know. It was like a mystery to her. She kept like... Because she thinks that I'm religious, but she wasn't sure if I was religious. And the way she was trying to pussyfoot around that... But then saying her, you know, the Lord tells me this, and then she, you know...
Conversation you'll never forget, huh? Makes you kind of rethink a lot about the effect this modern world's having on older people, huh?
It was very telling. It was very sad. It was, and at the end of the conversation, I just basically said, yeah. I was like, yeah, a lot of people aren't talking to their families now, and the world's in a bad spot. Seems like it's only getting worse. I was like, a lot of these families are estranged from each other. It was like watching a drowning woman like cling to nothing, like desperately trying to like. And you know, as bad as things are, at least I'm not clinging to false hope, you know? I'm just like, well, if this is where the ride ends, I guess I'll get off, you know? I'm not gonna like freak the out and like tell people to buy a free please spend $3,000 on the. Oh, and you know what it was? She said she was like a seller for them. Like it was almost like she had a bunch of mini businesses. Like she was trying to like she's part of this thing where she gets organic feed and we can buy feed from her, or she's like, I barter with people, I do this, like I own a stake in this, like it wasn't like owning a stake. She said like she was a rep for the freeze dryer company, but she's like, but they're more expensive than or I can't compete with them or something. I was like, I don't like whatever. I don't want to buy a machine. Like stupid. And I couldn't help but just see the parallels between her and my mother. I'm going to heaven, you better get right. I know where I'm going when I die. I'm saved. Oh, and she did say, oh, you want to have kids, but you know, and I straight up told her, I was like, I never really thought about it until I met you, you know. And she was saying that she wished her daughter didn't have a kid because of what's going to happen, what's coming. And she's like, well, you guys, you know, do what you want to do, but you might not want to because of what's coming. Yeah, she's just fear-mongering the whole time.
Well, she got to have her kids all willy-nilly just fine.
Yep, and now she hates them. Whereas you and I would have children and love them and never do that kind of bullshit. And never send them to public school. Where you don't know the bus driver, the teachers, the other students, but you did your part, right? Well, I had a roof over their head, I put food in their bellies, isn't that enough? I did the best I can. No, it's not enough. You failed. Sorry. Hey, if you send your kid to public school, guess what? You failed. You're a failure. Here's my hard take. You're a failure. Sorry for the big old...
We'll save that topic for another video. I just wanted to record your crazy schizo friend.
I felt schizophrenic writing writing the notes on the. I started writing stuff on the dry board. I was like, well, I gotta start putting some of this down because I gotta tell you what happened when you come home. Wow. And then I was like, it was like mini heartbreak because I was like, well, now the goats, what I thought was going to be a good situation turned into be totally just no. And then she's telling me she had a wolf walking on her property. She's had bobcat walking on her property. Apparently they made a deal with the weasels that if they eat the mice and stuff, they can stay because they don't eat the chickens. And I'm like, how? Okay, bullshit. I don't even know what the hell. Okay, lady. But I'm thinking, and then she said that she has a bull, like a cow, a bull, and he protects everything. And I was like, she told me that her ex-husband. This is what she told me. Here's more. She told me that her ex-husband's family, you know, like my wife's boyfriend did X, Y, and Z. Yeah, her.
Nice. Very good.
Her ex-husband's wife and kids brought home goats. You know, when he didn't ask for them, they just brought them home. So he had a bad taste in his mouth for goats. But then he said, like, he used to have them when he was a kid, so they are kind of fun or something. I don't know. But basically, she never had them before. She didn't know what the hell she was doing. She didn't do any research. All she read was that they eat poison ivy. That was what I was getting from it. I was like, so you did no research and you want to buy them. Here's another person who did no research and wants to buy goats. And then she said, well, if they don't do their job or whatever, you know, I'm just not feeding them or whatever. They're gonna have to eat that stuff. And then she was like, well, yeah, and if it doesn't work out, I can always just give them back to you and you can find a new home for them. I was like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Yeah, because I want to dick around with goats that have already you fucked them up, and now you're gonna give them back to me. I was like, these are very smart animals, and you're gonna fuck them up and then try to give them back to me? How about you do your research? Oh, so I was like, okay, no. But she kept boasting how they're gonna have their own little water. They're gonna go where the horses used to be, and they're gonna have all this space. There's a nice overhang, and water troughs, and this and this. But also, they're gonna be tethered the f out in the middle of wolf territory by themselves, so they can eat poison ivy. Cool. That sounds like a good life. As long as it lasts, because they're gonna get eaten by a wolf. So no, I decided we're not selling the goats to this crazy nincompoop.